I have been exploring downsizing to a smaller car, and speaking with car salesmen recently reminds me of the shrewd steward. A quick background, though. When I got my first car, my father introduced me to the world of Consumer Reports. And since Consumer Reports is both my Bible and biblical commentary for all things significant that I purchase, I tend to think that it gives me some sneaky insider trader knowledge of the value of things. And since we're in church and it's a Sunday, if I'm to have a confession, I sometimes find myself knowing more than the car salesmen themselves, and I like it. So the word exploring is accurate because it has been multiple months in the process for me already, and the hunt is ongoing. You can pray for my wife's patience. We have to sell a car before we buy a car, and the value of things have been examined and examined more. Today's gospel story is like driving up to a car lot on a Saturday where 5 to 10 salespersons are drinking their coffee, scoping out the next victim to tell them what car they should buy, how much their current car is worth, and that they need to act fast because the deal is today for only. Yes, today's gospel is a doozy. Requiring homework is done and our game face is on. This manager in Luke has not been a good steward of all that has been entrusted to him, and thus he was called off the sales floor up to the office to speak with the boss. The rich man then lets the manager go, and he has a moment where he had to evaluate his life. He recognized that he was too weak for manual labor, too weak from his own pride to ask for help. He examines his own values and his options. And the result is, through his own sacrifice, his boss and the debtors both end well. As we heard, the fire manager goes to his boss's debtors' homes and makes them quick offers. Now, we can fairly assume that the manager's commission fee has been baked into the final amount of what was owed. And as one scholar explains, it was not uncommon for such managers to take 100% markup on their tenants' debts. Jesus' time did not have spreadsheets or itemized billing statements. And it is likely that a family's income all came from the family's consumer goods that they produce or made. They may grow wheat or make oil, so to give those goods to the rich man that they had borrowed money from in order to support their ongoing trade. But the manager is the one who sets the sticker price, including that commission, along with a handsome profit for the boss. For the debtors to be able to cut their pay by a fifth or in half was a gift. For that debt that had been hanging over their heads was done, and now they felt like they had gotten a deal. You see, the manager's commission sacrifice saved them money. And as for the boss, he received accolades for his generosity in the community. His community standing went up. Now, we're not told what happens to the manager. Like, does he get his job back or does he find another one? For what matters from this parable is that his sacrifice came to positive outcomes for others. The gospel points to the sacrificial nature of following Jesus means that sometimes we are called to quickly shift gears, to pivot from the way we've always done it. And the second is that we consider the outcome of our neighbor. When we love our neighbor as we love ourselves, we think about their outcome as much as our own. For we all know that as we look around in the secular world, successful bosses are identified by obtaining and getting greater wealth. And having wealth is not the issue. Giving out of our abundance is always our call. William Neal, in his book, The Difficult Sayings of Jesus, says, "Wealth makes it difficult for man to be in a right relationship with God, but it's not impossible. For the grace of God can move a man to use his wealth for the good of others." Our world desperately needs more leaders who model the love of community through positive leadership practices. I think of the Bill Gates in the world who understand that a greater wealth means a greater responsibility. The more that has been entrusted to us, the harder it is that we have to resist from wanting to consume more from others. Mark Twain wrote, "If you pick up a starving dog and make him prosperous, he will not bite you." That is the principal difference between dog and man. Today's gospel outcome has every person contributing within their ability a path towards being a different type of community. And I believe that this is the point that Jesus has for us in this parable today. For the parable praises the dishonest manager because he acted shrewdly. Jesus commanded him because he stopped. First examining his own value, then he took a small step to improve the fairness of the entire business practice. It is in that small step that instantly helped the community. The debtors got a reduced price. His boss was seen as being generous. And neither the debtors nor the boss deserved this improved circumstance, but just maybe that manager's model might inspire them to make their own small steps towards a greater fairness. This is called grace. Our value in serving God comes from small sacrificial steps, shaping us and growing us as the disciples with grace over time. So we find ourselves in a place where we should pause, a period of an examination, examining the value of ourselves up against the value of being in community. Here is where faith lives, especially in our finances. Jesus said, "Whoever is faithful in a very little is also faithful in much." And today's gospel offers the outcomes of small steps of being sacrificial in the communities in which we live, to seek ways to take risk if it is to help to care more for others. This allows the grace of God to move us towards the good of others. Amen.